And welcome to the latest podcast. I am your host, JP John Poz. Here with me is the former WWF head writer, the former WCW head writer, the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, believe it or not, Mr. Vince Russo.
What's
Vince,
that
what's
mean?
going on?
What do you mean, believe it or not, man? What's
Come
that mean,
on.
John?
Come on. You're not a
Come on, come on.
wrestler. Come on.
John, I love there are some I think it's over in Japan or something. There's some record books or something that don't acknowledge my title range, which I find very, very insulting.
Do they acknowledge David Arquette?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Do they acknowledge Vince McMahon as the WWF champion?
I'm sure they do, bro. I'm sure they do. Bro, the fact that I got speared through a cage into a steel barricade, I should be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concussion, right? You got a concussion
Oh
from
my
that?
God, bro. Yes.
Yeah.
One of many, bro.
Wow, damn. Not
Yeah.
even a wrestler and you're getting concussion.
That was the last one. That was the last straw. I got my bell rung so many times in such a short period of time. That was the last one. I was done after that.
So as far as today, talking about before you were WCW champion, we're going to go back in time to 1999. We're going to go August 24th, 99. We're talking about the SmackDown quote unquote debut show. I always say it's kind of SmackDown number 2. They were calling it the SmackDown premiere because technically we've talked about the first
UPN,
SmackDown,
right? UPN
on the UPN network. Yep. But we talked about it before. It wasn't even called the pilot episode, even though technically you can. It was called like a special. It was a SmackDown special. So technically, this would be SmackDown number 2, I guess you could say. But this is the premiere of SmackDown on UPN.
Well, I mean, would you say SmackDown number 2? Because wasn't SmackDown number 1 an effort for us to show that the show would be popular?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And see how we do on UPN, go back to broadcast TV a little bit for sure. So, I mean, I guess it's weird. Some people call it the second SmackDown. Some people call it really SmackDown 1. The first one is kind of SmackDown 0 or SmackDown pilot.
Yeah.
But it was really a special. And this is technically the second
Yeah.
SmackDown that would happen. But I guess you could say it's really SmackDown 1 because Michael Cole calls it the premiere edition. Him and Jerry Lawler calling it premiere.
Yeah. So basically, it was an opportunity for us to put up or shut up with the first one.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So taped August 24th, it actually aired August 26th. So it aired on Thursday, 5.7 rating. So pretty damn successful right off the bat. So obviously some pretty big numbers we're looking at here in 99. And obviously WCW is still going. I mean, they're not doing well right now. They're struggling, but they are still going on and going at it. And SmackDown is kind of the answer to Thunder. Right. So it's not like there's no competition, not like there's nothing else going on out there. You guys are having a 5.7 rating with the competition and with them having another show.
Yeah. Yeah.
The attendance, by the way, was 9,779. So almost 10,000 people in the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri for this show. Very interesting, though, because Jericho, you guys get him, right? I mean, he debuted. He made an awesome debut on Raw. How, and I know we kind of alluded to the fact that you were a part of getting him, but how did you actually get him in WWF? Were you actually the one that recruited him? Is it JR? I mean, who's actually the one making the call saying, hey, we need this guy. We need Jericho because he could be a big name for us.
I was the one talking to Jericho, but when it starts getting into contract negotiations, that's when I tag out to JR. I don't get involved in any of that stuff. But I was the one initially talking to Jericho.
So very interesting. I don't know if a lot of people remember this or not, but on the WWE or the WWF.com, the website, they actually announced like weeks earlier, hey, we signed Chris Jericho. Do you remember that? Or do you think that's a mistake by them to do that? I mean, that seems like
not really, bro, because of the atmosphere at the time and the war was going on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if we can hype people up that Jericho is coming over, I think it was probably a smart thing to do.
You think it spoils his debut at all?
Even if it does spoil his debut, bro, I still think it was the right thing to do.
It didn't hurt, obviously, as far as the debut, because the debut is awesome. There was a few signs in the crowd, people say Jericho's the Millennium Man and stuff like that.
Yeah.
whose idea is the Millennium Man? How does that come about? Because that was so cool. Because you see like 10 days and the countdown. They got the countdown. Very very cool. Very different.
Yeah, bro. I think Chris and I had talked like about the countdown, the idea of it. But you got to understand something, bro. Like when something like that is done, like that's all TV production. Like that's all Kevin Dunn and Kevin Dunn's group, bro. That I may have had a conversation with Kevin. This is what Chris and I talked about. But then when they start working on it, that's when you start seeing an unbelievable entrance like that.
Pretty cool because it gives him like a heightened sense of importance immediately. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
wow, this guy's getting this a countdown video.
Right.
So as soon as the countdown ends, you know that this guy is important. And hell, The Rock's in the ring when the countdown ends, so you know he's really important.
Yeah, which was awesome, bro. Just freaking awesome. Just an awesome, awesome moment in time.
Man, one of the greatest debuts, if not the greatest debut in the history of the WWF, maybe in the history of wrestling. But that was, I mean, he knocked it out of the park. The
Yeah.
Y2J problem. I mean,
Yeah.
everything.
It was great.
The other thing is obviously when we talked about this before, when you leave, it kind of like halts his push a bit.
Yeah.
It just seems that way, right? I mean, it just 100% seems that was the case.
Bro, so much changed when we left. And you know what? I don't know if you saw the documentary or not, but bro, they did do one thing right. And I remember when they did it back then, it was just fresh off of me leaving. And I'm like, that was good. But like, it was the only good thing that they did. If you watch the documentary, Triple H will say, there was a storyline with Hunter and Test getting married, but the writers didn't know where it was going. Well, that's because me and Ed wrote that, and they didn't know where we were going.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Ed and I were writing that story, and then we left. But then they did the thing with Triple H and the drive-through and stuff, bro, which I thought was great. I thought it was absolutely tremendous. But there were just a lot of other things after that like they just did not know what to do with. And I think Chris Jericho was the biggest fumble because, like I said, bro, the last show we wrote, we had Jericho beating Rock, and that would have catapulted him.
Yeah.
They took about another 2 years
Yes.
to get Jericho over, where that would have got him over immediately.
Yeah. And he should have obviously
Yep.
been over immediately
Yep.
because in 2000 he beats Triple H for the title. Jericho does, and
Yeah.
literally the crowd goes absolutely nuts. And then they give the title back to Triple H later on the night, and then Triple H pins Jericho later in the night. It's just like you could tell it's like crowd wanted it so bad, and they didn't.
It's
They
just
killed
the
it.
petty. It's always the petty BS, bro.
So where were you going to go with Triple H and Stephanie and Test and that whole thing?
Well, I know where we were gonna go was we were gonna have Test stand her up at the altar. And then and Test was gonna be a heel, and then he was gonna get into it a little bit with Shane and Vince, and there was gonna be a whole problem. But what they did was great, man. I mean, it really, really was. I remember watching it saying, holy shit, like I didn't think of that. But
Yeah.
like I said, there were just so many other things where like they just it's real interesting, John. Like, I swear to God, bro. Did you watch the documentary yet?
Yes.
There is,
Mr. McMahon on Netflix. Yes.
bro. I gotta tell you, see, bro, this is what I hate about like wrestling journalists and stuff like that. They never talk about the stuff that really matters. And you will understand this, John, because I know you followed the product closely. Okay. And I remember this like immediately after we left. John, we were the ones who first wrote for the Vince McMahon character. And John, I'll tell you where that came from. I don't know if you and I have ever spoken about this story before, but I'll tell you exactly how it started. Bro, it was the day after the Survivor Series. We have our production meeting. Everybody clears out, and the only people in there are Vince's inner circle. So it's Vince, me, Bruce, Patterson, Briscoe, JR, just the inner circle. So, bro, keep in mind, Vince is sitting there with a black eye. So, John, if you understand the wrestling business, and I know you do, you will know what I'm saying is 1000% the truth. So, John, as I'm sitting there, they're all talking about Vince has a black eye, and they all want to sweep it under the rug. They don't want to have any mention of it whatsoever, like it never happened. So I let everybody talk. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening. And finally, I said, are you people nuts? Bret Hart, the top star of the WWF at the time, punched Vince McMahon in the face. Vince has a black eye. This is history, guys. They will be talking about this for years. This will probably never, ever happen again in the business. And bro, keep in mind, this is when we're losing to Nitro. I'm like, guys, we've got to take advantage of this. The last thing we want to do is sweep this under the rug. And bro, like, Vince had a way. Vince always had his bifocals, and he always looked at you over his bifocals. And Vince was giving me that look, and I could tell it was registering with Vince. Okay? Bro, as soon as we got back to the studio after TV, Vince went to the studio and cut the Bret screwed Bret promo.
Yep.
That was the birth of Mr. McMahon.
Yes.
Now, bro, when Ed Ferrara and myself wrote for Vince McMahon, Mr. McMahon, it was real simple, John. Real simple. The simplest story that everybody could understand. Blue collar versus white collar. Austin said and did everything to Mr. McMahon that every blue collar worker wanted to do to their boss. Yep. That was the story. Everybody got it. Everybody was living vicariously through Steve Austin. John, there was no involvement with Vince and other women. There were no relationships. There was no sexual innuendo. There was not making out with girls on the roster. There was none of that. All of that started when we left. And I remember, bro, watching that early on and saying to myself, is this coming from the writers or is this coming from Vince? Because I'll tell you why, John. I'll tell you why in a million years I would have never wrote that stuff. And you will understand completely what I'm saying. Bro, if I would have ever wrote that stuff for any of those women and they felt uncomfortable with it, whether they had a boyfriend or they had a husband or they were grossed out by Vince, whatever the case may be, if I would have wrote that stuff, I would have known there was no way they could have said no. They would have had to do that. There is no way they could have said no to Vince McMahon. So that's why I never went down that road, because I wouldn't have done that to the women. And I totally understood they could have never said no. So then when we leave, they're doing this like every single week. And I swear that's when I was saying to myself, is this coming from the writers or is this coming from Vince? And then, of course, John, now when you look back 20 years later and all the allegations and all this and all that, and Vince saying on the documentary, who is the real Vince McMahon? Well, I love sex. Okay, Vince. So now you look at all that and you're like, man, bro, like, why? John, I had a role on TV. I was on TV at WCW. Bro, I worked with some of the most beautiful women in the freaking business. I would have never wrote myself in a situation like that because I knew they couldn't say no. I knew they would have to do it. So that's why, man, when I look at all that stuff now, I'm like, man, bro, you really didn't know where Mr. McMahon ended and Vince McMahon started. You know what I'm saying? But these are the things, like, it blows my mind. These are the things nobody talks about. I mean, you can go back and look at the history, and bro, that's the reason why he wanted to buy this documentary back from Netflix.
Yep.
It was the things that he said that incriminated himself. They didn't paint him in a bad picture. They told this story straight up, bro. There wasn't an agenda. There wasn't a slant. But when he says, man, I gotta be honest, sometimes I don't know. At the very end, the confusion between Mr. McMahon and Vince, he says it at the very end. And then throughout it, he's talking about Mr. McMahon's sexual prowess, and then Vince McMahon's sexual appetite. Bro, they're going to have a field day with those clips in court. That's why Vince wanted to buy that back. So that's why I'm saying, bro, and like when he makes the statement, John, about Mr. McMahon and Vince McMahon, John, I swear to you, man, when I first read those tweets, I was like, no way Vince would have tweeted that shit out. Like, absolutely no way. But now I'm saying, well, Mr. McMahon might have tweeted that stuff out. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, bro, that's why he put out the press release and all this stuff. Bro, the producers and the directors and the financial, they did nothing to paint him in a bad light. It was the things that he said that were like, bro, you're literally implicating yourself. It's nothing they're doing. It's what you're saying. Wild stuff, bro. Really, really wild stuff, man.
Yep. Agreed. The commentators for the night, just want to mention Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler, of course. Remember, the initial one was Cole and Jim Cornette, so they changed it up to Ross and Lawler. The dark matches before the show: Kurt Angle defeats the California Kid, Edge defeats Matt Hardy, D'Lo Brown defeats Hardcore Holly, Val Venus defeats Mark Henry, and Gangrel defeated Chaz. So a lot of dark matches.
Wow, a lot. How many was that? How many was that?
You got 1, 2, 3, 5 dark matches even before the show starts. Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Were there any after the show? Do you know? Were there any dog matches after?
Doesn't look like it, no.
Okay.
So, yeah, it looks like it ends with Triple H and The Rock in the main event. But, yeah, I was just kind of curious. A lot of dark matches.
That's real. That's really, really odd. Unless, bro, they were waiting on somebody. You know what I'm saying, bro? Unless somebody that was on the show was running late. That's the only thing I could think of.
So as far as the show itself, I know Triple H, he's a champion. He's a heel champion, obviously, at this point. When you have Triple H as the heel champion, do you think at all he could have worked as a babyface champion during this era, like as the head of DX and as a babyface? Or is he much better as a heel champion? So I kind of feel like he didn't really work it that well as a babyface.
I agree with you 1000%, John. Definitely. Because again, going back and watching the Attitude or right now, the Attitude Era, no, definitely he's got the heel persona, no doubt about it.
When he does entrances and stuff, right? Like his look, he had like for a little bit, he kept kind of changing his look. He had like a chain, almost like just a big chain shirt, I guess you would say, almost like Steiner had the chain helmet. Like he had a chain a shirt.
Yeah.
You have any influence on what he wears or
not at all?
like that?
They're just trying to find their way, bro, and finding a look that works for them. I had zero over after that. Yeah,
it's funny, like the progression of what he's wearing. He's tried to look like Shane Douglas at one point. Remember that, like as a Kangol hat, where we're wearing it backwards, and
He
I don't know. He was like trying out a bunch of different looks at one point.
Yeah. Which you should do. You know what I'm saying? I give him credit for doing that, bro, till he found the sweet spot.
And then he just stops wearing it all of a sudden. I guess that's one of the things where he didn't like it, or Vince didn't like it, or somebody's probably like, don't wear that again, right?
Yeah. Unless China was his wardrobe coach at the time. Who knows?
Yeah, true. So the show starts, the premiere, if you will, the highlight package of SummerSlam 99, and then Triple H winning the title on Raw is kind of where we're at. So Triple H is the champion. He beat Mankind on Raw after Mankind pinned Steve Austin in the triple threat at SummerSlam, also involving Triple H. Is there a specific reason why Triple H couldn't have just won the title at SummerSlam? I know we talked to that a little bit, but is there a reason why it has to be the next night on Raw over Foley?
Just to keep having big moments on Raw, bro. Just to have big moments on more. Again, bro, we're in the middle of a war. You know what I'm saying? So if we can deliver that big, bro, we always looked at it this way too, bro. Like, everybody looked at, the big pay-per-view as the big show and the money, and it is, but only a fraction of people are seeing it compared to Raw. So, like, if you're going to do something really, really, really big, bro, you want to do that in front of the biggest audience. And that's why we would do something like that on Raw.
Does it hurt that he didn't win the pay-per-view or the title at the pay-per-view because it's a huge pay-per-view at SummerSlam and rather wins on Raw? Does that hurt
I
his
don't think so.
street cred at all?
I don't.
No?
I don't think so, bro. I really don't. But again, the idea is a moment like that you want to be seen by the most people.
So they have the SmackDown intro, the video, the pyro. They have it all going on. Then Triple H and China come out for an in-ring promo. The Rock comes out for a promo, setting up the match later on in the night. Special guest referees, though, because Shawn Michaels comes out and he said he'll be a referee. Shane is saying that he wants to be involved. He wants to be a referee. Mankind then comes out. They have a brawl, and basically Mankind and Foley start brawling. The Mean Street Posse come out, and they even start to get involved in a brawl, and kind of the Rock and Sock Connection, Foley and Mankind end up kind of clearing the ring a little bit, but setting up later on the night Shane and Mankind, and obviously setting up Triple H versus The Rock with Shane and Shawn Michaels. Really, Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee.
So does it come out of that first segment who the referee is going to be, or is that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So it's going to be Michaels, but Shane says he wants to be involved. He wants to be a special guest referee as well.
Yeah, got you.
Do you think it's too much going on? Do you think that too many guys come out because it's like The Rock, China, Triple H, Mankind, Shane,
bro? I got to tell you, man, John, whether it's my taste or not, when you go back and you look at those Attitude Era shows, bro, they loved chaos. They would go nuts for it, bro. I mean, regardless of I was watching a spot last week with the freaking Oddities and the Insane Clown Posse, and it was a big brawl, and the people were going nuts, and I'm like, what? So they loved that back then, bro. For whatever reason, they loved it. And John, I've always told you, man, give them what they want. It's not what I like or don't like. You got to give them what they want, and they just love that brawling stuff.
I just talked to Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse, and I was saying, did you like the Oddities? Thinking that he was going to say, you know what, we deserve better. I know, I've just figured he might have said something, but he said he loved it.
Yeah,
so
no,
I was
they
a
were
little
great,
surprised.
bro.
Yeah,
They were freaking great. They knew what they were doing, bro. They were naturals, man. I loved working with those guys.
Pretty funny. They were actually wrestlers kind of before they got big and rappers, I guess self-trained, but they were actually like huge, not huge, but they were huge fans, but they were wrestlers as well. So
do they still do their show like once a year or something?
They're going to be doing it again. Yeah. And they actually have a TV show now. It's more Violent J, but it's both of them. It's called Lunacy, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. So they're back. They're on YouTube on Psychopathic Records, I think it's whatever their label is.
Oh,
so if you look them up on YouTube, they have their own show. So they're trying to, he said, be like a top 10 wrestling company. Like he's really getting serious about actually.
They could be. I mean, they could be. You know what I'm saying? If they've got a little money, and I'm sure they do, and some creativity, they can make some noise.
He hinted that somebody is helping them write the show. So I guess it's not you, since you.
No, it's not me. No.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm not really supposed to say somebody's helping me write the shows," which makes me think they might work for one of the other two big companies. You know what I mean? They might work somebody else, but they're helping him write the shows. But pretty cool to see he's back in wrestling.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Yeah.
So first match of the night is a non-title match. Jeff Jarrett is the Intercontinental Champion. He's going to wrestle Mr. Ass, not Billy Gunn, but Mr. Ass. And Mr. Ass ends up defeating Jarrett, who was with Deborah and Miss Kitty, in about 3 minutes. Do you mind? I know it's technically Billy Gunn getting the win over Jarrett, but China hits him with the low blow, kind of costs him. She's a heel with Triple H, But do you mind that she's also kind of a babyface beating up Jarrett and getting a pop because it was the whole women versus Jarrett thing, and
Bro,
everybody's
China wasn't a heel. People loved her,
no.
man. They loved her. She was so unique, and there was nobody like her. They loved her. But again, bro, I just keep thinking of that documentary, and now you look at Mr. Ass, like that was all Vince. Vince thought Mr. Ass was like the greatest thing, and you look back now and you're like, bro, there were just a lot of freaking strange things, man, with that dude, man.
Yeah, that is weird. But I always think like that's just a terrible nickname. Like
It is
badass is
awful.
fine, but that's
Yeah.
a terrible nickname. But like
It's
Seth freaking Rollins, that's definitely a Vince thing. You know what I mean? He just like
Yeah.
thinks it's like he thinks something is cool, but it's not.
And it's simple, like Seth freaking Rollins, like Rhea Bloody Ripley. Like, okay, all right,
yeah. What do you think about Billy Gunn to get the win here over the Intercontinental Champion Jeff Jarrett? Does it hurt Jarrett at all? I mean, China did cheat.
We talked about this before. Jeff was bulletproof, and Jeff knew he was bulletproof, and that's why Jeff never minded doing a job, because Jeff knew he can get his heat back the next day. That's a great freaking heel, man, knowing that no matter what, you're gonna get your heat back. Jeff, bro, I remember Jeff telling me one time, bro. I remember him telling me one time that while he was the Intercontinental Champion, bro, he never pinned anybody. He never pinned that. Jeff told me that, and bro, that is such a tribute to what a great freaking heel Jeff was. And is Jeff a heel now or a babyface in AEW?
No, he's a babyface in AEW now.
Yeah. Did they work him like, bro, every week?
No, but he has had a bunch of matches. Like he's wrestling Saturday. He's wrestling against Adam Page. So yeah, he does have a bunch of matches.
See that's where Tony Khan is clueless. Like you know what I'm saying, bro? You can't work Jeff like he's in his 30s, and every time he works a match, it should be freaking special, bro.
Yep. For sure. So Lillian Garcia is backstage with Al Snow. Al Snow is very upset that the big boss man stole Pepper, the dog.
So he didn't need him yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Whose idea was that to kill him and eat the dog?
Bro,
supposedly.
Thank you, John. Yeah. Supposedly, thank you. That was definitely my idea. But thank you. Supposedly, he never ate the dog, bro. That was like Beaver Cleaver. Like, no, bro. That wasn't his mom, bro. Did you notice they were the same age? Like, come on, bro.
Yeah. The thing is, the boss man says it, but he's a heel. Right. Do you really believe a heel?
Of course, bro.
Is boss man that sadistic though? He'd kill the dog, Bro,
did you see the footage, man? I swear to God, man. Bro, do you know, I was reading a couple of days ago that in California, right? Bro, in California, they got these mamby-pamby little dogs that weigh 3 pounds like that, which I never understood that. Like, I have a bulldog, man. I need a big, meaty freaking dog, these little 2-pound dogs. But anyway, bro, in California, a lot of coyotes were grabbing these little dogs and eating them for a meal. So, bro, people have actually started dressing their dogs in like freaking Road Warrior shit, like the spikes, the black spikes. But bro, they actually had footage, and you could find this after the show, where it's somebody's backyard and there's a little 2-pound dog and there's a big swimming pool. Bro, here comes a coyote, picks the dog up by the neck and starts taking off. Bro, it was Tommy Lee. It was Tommy Lee's house. Bro, his wife comes running out there, chases the coyote. The coyote tries to go over a 10-foot wall with the dog, and the wife grabs the dog's legs and pulls it back to the other side. But It was like, bro, I think that's hysterical. They're dressing these little wimpy dogs in big spikes and shit so the coyotes can't get them. That's incredible, bro.
Little hawking animal there.
Little hawking animal. Bro, we've got, I don't know about you, we got coyotes everywhere here, bro.
Really?
I've come face to face with coyotes in Colorado at least 5 times.
Damn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They don't go after humans?
No, no,
Only
they're
animals?
afraid. They're afraid of anything bigger than them. They're afraid of. That's why they always go after those small dogs.
So after that, Chris Jericho. A lot of backstage stuff. Jericho is backstage with Howard Finkel, and Howard Finkel is actually polishing his boots. So Finkel's working for Jericho.
That's tremendous. I forget where we were. I might have been at that signing this past weekend, but a
Yep.
bunch of us were talking about how great Finkel was, man.
Yeah, he was awesome.
What a unique, awesome individual, man.
Did you want to make him like into a character, or did Vince want to make him into
no,
a character?
I always, bro. The thing with me is, if you're around it, you're going to be a part of it. You know, you're eventually going to be doing something on air if you're around it.
So Test also is nervously walking around backstage. He had proposed to Stephanie on Raw and was waiting for the answer. So big tease there with
Wow.
Test and Stephanie.
Interesting.
Then next up, we have a WWF World Tag Team title triple threat match. The Big Show and the Undertaker, who are the tag team champions, with Paul Bearer versus Kane and X-Pac versus the Acolytes. Big Show and the Undertaker get the victory over Kane, X-Pac, and the Acolytes in about 4 minutes long here. What do you think?
Man, bro, I swear I would have never, ever in a million years remembered that I was writing and working there when Big Show and Taker were tag champs. I would have never in a million years remembered that, bro.
And Big Show basically kind of worked the match alone, and he got the win.
Yeah, yeah. What I mean, was there heat between them? What was the deal with that?
They were teasing that Undertaker was like his mentor and that he didn't do stuff. He's a giant. He should be doing stuff the way Undertaker does stuff, and he's going to teach him the right way. So it's like this unholy union, but Undertaker's clearly like the leader of the group. But Big Show's kind of showing him like, hell, I'll win this thing by myself, even though it's a triple threat match, and he wins it by himself.
I got to go back and watch some of this stuff, bro. That's I don't remember them two together at all.
I don't know if you remember, was Undertaker hurt at this point, or it was interesting to kind of put him in a tag team?
I'm sure he probably was, bro. I'm sure, bro. So many times, you know, guys were hurt and we had to protect them in that way. That's why I always say, bro, I don't understand what they do now where when somebody's hurt, they just disappear. I mean, we didn't care if guys were hurt or not. We just, as long as they had a presence on television, they didn't have to work a match. So if he was hurt, he went out there and did what he could do, and that's fine. But it's like now, bro, when somebody gets hurt, they sit him home for 3 months, which I don't understand.
Yeah, because he doesn't wrestle at the following pay-per-view Unforgiven either. So obviously something's up. He must be hurt.
He's definitely hurt then, bro. Yeah.
Test is backstage again, looks a little nervous. Stephanie walks up and says she has an answer for Test. He gets excited, and then she says later.
What a hook.
Yeah.
What a hook, bro. I love hooks. Love those hooks.
Yes. Big Boss Man comes out for an in-ring promo. Al Snow comes out, and they are going to have a hardcore title match and the return of Pepper. Pepper will return. So this is obviously before Big Boss Man supposedly cooks her for lunch. Allegedly, yes. Yeah. So he says, I'll give you Pepper back. I want a hardcore title match. Al Snow's the hardcore champion. He agrees because he foolishly thinks Bossman is a man of his word, which he obviously is not, but he agrees just to try to get Pepper back. Bossman ends up defeating Al Snow and wins the hardcore title back. So Al Snow loses the hardcore title. Bossman, new hardcore champion. And then, of course, Bossman stole Pepper back as well. So he was not a man of his word. He took Pepper back and won the hardcore title.
Bro, how sick is it? 25 years ago, whatever it is, we're talking about eating pepper and stuff. What did Trump just say on the debate, bro? They're eating cats and dogs, bro. Yes. They're eating cats and dogs.
Yes. Yeah. I love how people were denying it, and then they're like, "Well, they're Haitians. It's not that bad." Like they were like trying to make it right. I was like, "Come on."
Yeah, man.
So bad. But Bossman, what a heel. Not only is he a hardcore champ, he steals Pepper back. Al Snow shouldn't have trusted him, though. You can't.
Well, it's good too because that's Al's character, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yep. You know, that works perfectly for it. Doesn't make him look stupid. That works perfectly for his character.
Then Al Snow is in the back. He wants Pepper back. He's crying about it. He wants Pepper. He's really looking, all over for Pepper. Where's Bossman? but it looks like Boss Man has left. They then show Kane and X-Pac. They're talking in the back. X-Pac walks away from Kane, and he says, "I'm the weak link of the team." And Kane's trying to get him to come back, but X-Pac is down in the dumps since he took the loss for the team in
God,
that
bro,
tag
and you
match.
just look at like just you laying out and talking about the show. This is what I talk about all the time. This is where my heat lies. Bro, just look at the effort in doing all these pre-tapes, man. Like they don't do that anymore, bro. And that's why like there's no reason for them not to do it anymore outside of laziness. It took a lot of work. Bro, I'm still writing to this day, John, and I swear, you know, we'll sometimes we'll record 3 1-hour shows, like, and I have like 12 in the afternoon to 6 o'clock. I got 6 hours to do the pre-tapes, and I'm doing pre-tapes for 3 shows. Bro, there'll be over 30 pre-tapes that I got to get done in 6 freaking hours. You just get them done. And that's why, I mean, you laying all this stuff out and all the pre-tapes and all the stories, that's what made it better, bro. But nobody wants to put in the work anymore, man.
Yeah, there is a lot of always with especially Crash TV. There's a lot of pre-tapes.
Yeah, man. And it takes a lot of work.
Next up, the Y2J debut. Jericho will be debuting against the Road Dogg. So Road Dogg ends up defeating Jericho via DQ in his debut in about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It was pretty good while it lasted, but Jericho power bombs him through a table, and
Wow.
he ends up getting DQ'd. Jericho attacks the Road Dogg. The ref basically has to pull him off of him after that. So he loses by DQ, but he gets a lot of heat because he puts him through a table and beats him up, and had to get the refs to pull him off of him.
Yeah, and we also need to, you know, make people understand, bro, that back then putting somebody through a table actually meant something. It didn't happen 10 times on a show, so that was probably a pretty big moment.
Do you mind him? I know it's a DQ. Do you mind him losing his debut?
Nah, not as long as you protect him, bro. Not as long as, bro, I don't care. Bro, I swear to God, man, I just wrote like our pay-per-view, and I swear, John, I think there's 8 matches on it or whatever. Bro, whoever is doing the job in every single match is protected. One way or another, there is an out for every single person. So as long as, because John, here's the bottom line. What's the last thing they're going to remember? The last thing they're going to remember is Jericho putting them through that's it. Yeah. That's what they're going to remember.
This is an interesting thing to me, too. So 𝐒𝐿 and Finkel are in the ring, and they start brawling. So it's like something is going on everywhere on this damn show.
Great. I mean, that stuff.
Just all over. So they're brawling. Jericho comes back out because 𝐒𝐿 ends up winning. Then Shamrock comes out. He I guess supposedly may have a match or whatever. Shamrock comes out, kind of bumps into Jericho. So Jericho sends Fink back to deal with Shamrock. When Shamrock's not looking, Jericho nails him with a chair shot. So Jericho again, now he's feuding with Shamrock and getting a lot of heat.
That's good stuff, man. That's really good stuff.
My thing is, when you're writing this, it's almost as like you don't want them not just change the channel, but when you're there in the building, it's like you don't want them not paying attention, because all of a sudden when you think like, oh, we got 2 minutes to go to the bathroom, the announcers start fighting like, wait a second, we can't go anywhere. What the hell's it? What the hell's and then Shamrock, then Jericho. It's like a lot of shit going on.
That's bro, but that's the thing, John. It's not, I don't know how many people love to talk so much shit about me, bro. That's so freaking untrue. That is not about me being a creative genius, bro. That's effort, John. It's effort. It takes a lot of work to write a show that way. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't want to take the time to do it. It's got nothing to do with being a creative genius. It's got to do with that's a lot of shit to get done. You got to get it done.
A lot of different things going on. Then, of course, Stephanie and Test, their little proposal angle going on. So Stephanie and Test are in the ring. Stephanie finally says yes, she will marry him. Test
Did they pop? The people pop?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Got a nice little pop. The Test was ecstatic. And then Mean Street Posse and Shane McMahon come out. So then we're starting to get some heat here. Then people are starting to get upset because there was this happy moment, nice little pop, yay, test, and they seem happy. Mean Street Posse and Shane have to ruin it, even though Shane promised he wasn't going to get involved. He wasn't going to ruin what was going on with them. He gets involved anyway. The Mean Street Posse comes out, and who comes out to make the save? But Mankind. Mick Foley comes out. Remember the incident before with Shane, and it's when the show started. So they're continuing on with Shane and Mankind. So Mankind comes out, which leads to Shane McMahon versus Mankind. So it's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff, and then boom, a match happens right after they have this little scuffle.
See, John, this is why I want to say this is why long-term booking and long-term planning and all that stuff that the Eric Bischoff loves to talk about is total bullshit. Because I'll tell you why, John. If there was long-term booking, there would have never been a Mean Street Posse. And how that happened, John, is I don't know if I told you this story before, but we were doing vignettes with Shane McMahon. So the idea was like, Shane, did you have a posse when you grow? Oh, yeah, man, I had these two best friends, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So we bring them in on a weekend, John. I wasn't there to produce the stuff. So like I saw it like, I saw it after they recorded it. And bro, this was a one and done. It was one and done. It was just for these vignettes. I'm watching Rodney and Pete Gas, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, these guys are tailor-made for the wrestling business, bro. So what was supposed to be a one and done, how many years did we get out of the Mean Street Posse, bro? That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's why wrestling needs to be organic, man. You can't force, okay, bro, this is the 3-month arc and this is what we're going to do for the next 3 months. Bro, so much shit would have never happened if I didn't work organically the way I did.
Funny, Tony Khan recently said that it's week to week now. There's no long-term story. But his whole thing was that he had something set in stone and he wouldn't change it. So that doesn't really make sense the week to week. Like Adam Page at one point was the champion. It clearly wasn't working. They should have put the title on Danielson at that point. And because he promised them and he had written in his notebook, he had to keep him champ for a certain amount of time. It's just, you could tell, like, this guy's going to win it here. This guy's going to,
you got to go. You just got to freaking roll with it, bro. And the people are going to tell you what to do. But if you got everything set in stone, you're forcing it, bro. You just got to let it develop, man.
Speaking of Shane McMahon, he does get the victory, shockingly, over Mankind. Obviously, Joey Abs, Pete Gas, Rodney are all interfering. Stephanie and Test are out there interfering as well. But Shane, via cheating, of course, gets the victory over Mankind in about 5 minutes. But not only Mean Street Posse cheating, getting interfered, Triple H and China come out and cheat and help Shane win as well, furthering the fact that Shane is aligning himself with Triple H. Do you like Shane going over Foley here? There's a Foley. Is he,
well, I'm
immune
sure,
to that?
I'm sure it was a kabuki-ish finish, right?
Oh yeah, big time. They cheated.
Yes. As like I said, bro, as long as the guy's protected, that's why, bro, I have such a problem with like Sami Zayn beating Gunther clean.
Yeah, it was
like I haven't forgotten that, bro. Like you don't forget stuff like that. And there was no reason not to protect Gunther at all.
Yep.
So as long as the person's protect, and the talent knows that too, bro. The talent knows as long as I have some kind of an out, I'm okay.
Yep. I know now they're doing Gunther and Sammy and bringing that up, but they still should have been more of a fluke victory. That was
absolutely
that was bad.
It should have been a crash and burn. That Gunther was going to do a high spot to finish him, and Sammy got out of the way. Something.
Yep, 100%. So Shane gets the victory there. He defeats Mankind. Then we have Jericho backstage. He's running away as Shamrock is chasing him, trying to catch him. He gets in a car. Fink tries to get in the car with him. Jericho locks the door. Jericho leaves. So Fink is left alone with Shamrock. Guess what happens? Fink pees his pants.
Oh no, bro.
Is that a rib on Fink at all, or is that just good?
Bro, I tarred and feathered Fink 2 weeks in a row, bro. 2 weeks in a row.
He didn't care?
No, bro. One time he got really upset, bro. I'll never forget, bro. I think it had to be a TV, bro, because I didn't go to house shows. But remember Jack Doan?
Yeah, of course.
Bro, I remember one time, regular show, and Fink's in the ring doing the ring announcing, and Jack Doan is the referee. And Vince McMahon tells Jack Doan to take Howard Finkel down. And Jack Doan took Howard Finkel down, bro, to the mat, kind of embarrassed Finkel. Bro, Howard came to the back crying.
Whoa.
That's how upset he was. Because I remember, he comes back there crying, and freaking Lawler's looking at me like, are you freaking kidding me? But, bro, they used to, rib Fink all the time. Bro, a lot of times, if you saw them wreck a car, somebody through the windshield or something like that, bro, 99% of the time it was Finkel's rental car. 99% of the time it was Finkel's rental car, bro. Wow. Think about that. Bro, it blows my mind how many times a rent-a-car was ruined. And, bro, think about that, bro. The guy renting the car has to bring it back with some kind of an explanation, bro. Do you know what torture that must be? Oh, yeah. Bro, that must have been done dozens and dozens of times, bro.
Probably after a while, I was like, can't rent this guy cars anymore. He destroys every car we get.
Bro, the worst one was, and you might know about this because this is, infamous, but bro, there was a street fight in a parking garage, and it was the Nation against the bikers. What were the DOA? It was the Nation against the bikers. Bro, one of the guys picked up the other guy right through the back windshield of Cornette's car.
Oh my God.
Bro, he was so hot. Literally in the middle of the show, he got in his car and drove home. That's how hot Cornette was.
Damn. Did they do it on purpose as a rib?
Oh, 1,000%.
Wow.
1,000,000%. Because remember, Cornette never flew anywhere. He always drove everywhere. Yep. And yeah, bro. Oh my God, was he hot?
Damn.
Yeah.
Crazy, but pretty funny though, of course. Yeah. So then we have a sit-down interview, Stone Cold Steve Austin and Michael Cole, because obviously Austin's injured at this point. He's talking about his knee injury, but he'll be back. He'll be back better than ever. And he's talking about Triple H, and obviously Triple H is the one he blames for the injury. So it's going to be him and Triple H, and that's kind of the feud that is lining up, but he's injured right now, but he promises revenge.
John, let me ask you a question. I know when we left, Austin left shortly thereafter because he was not happy with the creative. What were they doing with him? Do you remember before he left?
So he got injured right after you left in 99. So he ends up leaving in 2002. So his storyline, he was feuding with Ric Flair, a little bit of the Big Show, but the Big Show was kind of not in a great position. They didn't really book him strong. So it's kind of weird that he was feuding with Big Show. It was weird because Flair wasn't like a full-time, he wrestled, but it wasn't like, he was more of like the head of Raw, like the GM. Didn't really portray him as like Ric Flair, the wrestler. Then he was kind of feuding with Eddie Guerrero a little bit. Then they wanted him to be in the first round of the King of the Ring tournament. Steve Austin, the second biggest wrestler of all time, arguably first, if him and Hogan, I say Hogan, but neck and neck. They wanted him to lose to Lesnar on a Raw with no buildup, and Lesnar was a rookie because Lesnar was just going to win the King of the Ring, and then Lesnar was going to fight The Rock and win the title. So they were using him on a random Raw with no buildup, and they wanted him to lose to Lesnar. So so JR was like, come to work. Vince wants you to lose, and he goes, nah. Creative sucks. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
He went on Bite This with Kevin Kelly and was saying his creative
I
sucks.
heard that clip. Yeah, bro. You know what
His
that
creative
is?
was awful. It was so bad.
Bro, they've always had this problem. When you've got somebody that is so hot like that, bro, if you don't know how to creatively keep that person on top, that's exactly what's Bray Wyatt is the perfect example, bro. And that's why people said, like, I always take offense to this, because think about what you're saying. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it was easy for Russo. He had such a great roster. John, do you know how difficult it was to keep that great roster on top, where every single week they had to keep topping themselves and topping themselves? That was the challenge. I was not going to walk into a building and hand Austin a shitty script. That was not going to happen, because I knew what Steve's response would have been. So the hard part is you got to keep doing this with these great talents. You can't take them from here to here. And that's exactly what they did with Austin. And people don't understand, man, when you've got great talent, if the creative isn't as great, you're going to kill the talent, man.
To me, Austin, 100% right. Okay, you want me to lose to Lesnar? No problem. I shouldn't be in the King of the Ring. I'm probably the greatest wrestler WWF's ever seen. I saved the company. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not wrestling him on Raw with no build-up. I'm not losing to him on Raw with no build. Like, if you want to build it up, it's Stone Cold freaking Steve Austin. You build it up like they built up the Rock and Lesnar a little bit, into like this big title match. You couldn't do that with Austin and make a ton of money. I don't know. Like Vince, sometimes you would think like he's like this genius, but then it's like, wait a second, he wanted the second biggest, arguably maybe biggest wrestler of all time, to lose to a rookie on a King of the Ring tournament when the guy shouldn't even be anywhere near a King of the Ring tournament. He won it 6 years ago.
Absolutely.
Like, so booking was awful. And I know he was feuding with the NWO and he was feuding with Hall before that, and not Hogan, and that was a little bit of his fault, and maybe a little jealousy too, because Rock Hogan did tremendous business, but still, like, it's Steve Austin. You got to give him, if that's 1A, you got to give him 1B.
He earned that respect. So that's why, I mean, I'm sure, bro, there was a part of him that really felt insulted. He earned that, bro. He earned that.
They like gave him nothing. I mean, which was kind of funny, but he was fighting Eddie Guerrero at a karaoke bar. It's like, I don't know. It's like they could have been doing something a little bit more and a little bit better with that, because it's not like Eddie was that established at that point either. He kind of was just coming back in, so they didn't use him correctly at all, and that was just insulting. It's funny. JR was like, "Oh, come on, Steve, come in and talk to Vince and do creative." Vince was like, "No, I want him to job." It's like Vince wasn't budging either, so obviously he's like, "Screw it, I'm taking my ball, I'm going home."
Vince was probably on to the next guy already.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. And he already had Lesnar and wanted Rock to lose to him.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't you build up Austin a little bit further? I mean, that's a main event WrestleMania match. I mean, hell, people still want to see it this year.
And bro, you know what the ironic thing is, bro? Because I was there for this one. He did the same exact thing to Shawn Michaels for Steve Austin.
Yeah.
The same exact. That's what set Shawn off. That's what created so many problems with Shawn. It was the same pattern. And what did Vince say over and over and over and over and over in the documentary? Business. What's best for business? If it's best for business. He doesn't care about human beings, bro. Like that I've always said this, man. When the WWE was at its weakest, I'm talking TL Hopper, the Goon, Mantar, you know, all that crap, John. Yep. Shawn Michaels was carrying the company on his back. On his back. Every house show they told him to work, I was working with him, bro. He never said no to anything. And then all of a sudden, Steve started getting hot. Vince was done with Shawn, man, and it was as clear as day.
And even did that before with Bret Hart for Shawn. And then before that, Warrior Hogan. And then he tried it with Sid, because then he had to bring Hogan back. And then Sid wasn't the right. So he would always do that and fall in love with a guy. And then
absolutely, man.
Rock and Austin, obviously. He fell in love with Rock, and then Lesnar. And it goes on and on and on, for sure.
Yep.
So Tori, in a non-title evening gown match. Tori defeated Ivory in about 1 minute, and then Luna Vachon came out. This was like short, sweet, not well, actually maybe not so sweet, but this was just short and out of there. It wasn't like nothing to it. She rips off the evening gown, and that's kind of
God,
the
I
end of
would
it.
have loved to know, yeah, the story behind that, how it got to that match. You know, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, Ivory was feuding with Tori. She beat her at SummerSlam. Luna kind of came out then. It all kind of is just around Ivory being the champion and kind of having a little bit of feud with Luna, a little bit of feud with Tori, a
Okay.
little bit of feud with Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, like a little bit of feuds here and there with Ivory as the champion there. But they're all short matches. I mean, really,
Yeah.
really short matches.
Yeah.
Then Lillian Garcia is backstage with Triple H in China, promoting the match against The Rock later on in the evening for the title. Then Al Snow is still frantically looking for Big Boss Man and his dog Pepper. So he's still crazy for Pepper. You're still kind of hammering that home, still looking around the building. But hey, Boss Man left. You know what I mean? He left the building.
Yeah.
And then we cut and we see the referees are congratulating Test and Stephanie on their engagement. So a lot of backstage stuff, a lot of stuff going on right before the main event. So
John,
you have a
I
lot going on.
swear, one of the most fun things for me ever, like in the business, bro, was, John, you know this because you've been to a lot of sporting events and a lot of arenas. I'm sure you've been to a lot of concerts and whatnot.
Yep.
Every building you go to has its own personality and it's got its own look. John, the one of my favorite parts of the job was, after the production meeting, I would grab my camera crew. Bro, we would walk through the whole building. We're going to do this pre-tape here, this pre-tape here. I was always trying to give them different looks, so everything didn't always look the same.
Right.
And I love doing that, bro, because you would find some really cool locations, man, because every building was a different look. And again, that's why when I watch the show now and everything is in Adam Pearce's office, I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Like, seriously? And then everybody goes nuts when they see the Georgia Tech piece. And I'm like, bro, what do they do? Something like that once every 6 months, bro? That should be a daily, that should be a weekly spectacle, something like that every single week, bro.
And that was your boy. Your boy did that, Jeremy Borash.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, but they don't want to take the effort, bro. They don't want to take the effort.
So Triple H with China versus The Rock for the World Heavyweight title. HBK, Shane McMahon, special guest referees. Really, it's just HBK because he's really kind of the only one out there for most of the match. But Triple H ends up beating The Rock in about 10 minutes to retain his WWF World Heavyweight title. Here's the kicker. So not only is Triple H out there, China comes out there. HBK out there as a ref. China comes out there. HBK as the quote-unquote babyface ref kicks China out for cheating. Calls her out. Shane McMahon then comes out and wants to be a part of the match because he said earlier he wants to be a special guest referee. But here we go. They're pretending that Shane and HBK are having problems. The Rock is going to win the match. Guess what happens? Boom. Sweet chin music. HBK turns on The Rock unexpectedly and basically turns heel on The Rock right there. Triple H gets the win. 1, 2, 3. He retains. Triple H and HBK hug. China is back out there. Shane comes back in the ring to celebrate. They all laugh. They tricked everybody. They got one over. Him kicking out China was just a ruse. Shane was a part of the ruse, and obviously HBK turns heel. So what is going on here? That HBK is now a heel, and he actually, cheats and helps Triple H this time.
Well, you're back with the original DX now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's kind of where it all started, right? Bro, I got a question for you. What happened to Vince McMahon by now? How did Vince exit?
So basically, because of the feud with Austin, remember it was basically you've got to be, you got to leave the WWF. So basically, it was kind of all a part of that feud that he was basically supposedly gone because of Steve Austin.
Okay, so that's how we got rid of him for a little while.
For a little bit, but he does end up coming back as a babyface, wins the title thanks to Austin, and he it's it's interesting because he's gone, but he comes back. It's not long. It's like 2
Yeah,
months or something. Like, but
yeah,
he's back pretty quickly.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy stuff, man.
Why turn HBK heel though? Why is he helping out Triple H?
Again, bro, I guess it's just the history with, DX and just kind of revisiting that. And again, bro, it was always designed to keep you off your toes, bro. Always. That's why I go bonkers here, bro, because you got Monday Night Football on, and then they're putting the most predictable matches at the end of Raw. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Like, what you know what it is, though, John? Here's the problem. They've already got their money in the bank. You know what I'm saying? They've got the deals. They've been paid. There's no reason for them to put any effort in whatsoever. So at the end of the day, bro, that's on the networks. That's on the streaming services. That's on the people giving them these deals. The fact that the money is in the bank, there is no incentive for them to put on a show like the ones we're talking about.
When you look at it here too, it almost seems like, does that mean HBK is going to wrestle? Like, was there ever going to be HBK versus The Rock? Because he just duped him. So it almost seems logical that if HBK could wrestle, would he have wrestled The Rock? Would they have feuded?
I'm sure we definitely had that in our minds, and we would have made that happen. I'm sure, bro.
Did you want that to happen?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely, yeah. I mean, who wouldn't?
It's funny though. It seemed like The Rock wouldn't, because he actually mentioned that in an interview that he never wanted to wrestle Shawn Michaels.
Yeah,
which
but
is
I get that, bro. But Rock would have probably been the last guy to not do business.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sure
Yep.
he felt that way, bro. But if Vince sat him down, I can't see Rock not doing business.
Is there a reason that Triple H seems to be the most protected guy to me here? Because we were talking about before, Bulldog helps him win. China helps him win. Shane helps him win. I know he's a heel and he's getting over by winning basically by cheating, but HBK is helping. It seems like all these other factors are helping him. He's not standing on his own 2 feet as a heel per se. Like, I thought The Rock, even though he did cheat to win and stuff, but I always thought him as the heel was a much better heel champion. He was the head of the corporation. He was like, I don't know, he stood on his own 2 feet. You could see him feuding one-on-one with Austin. For some reason here in 99, I couldn't see, I know that was the build-up because Triple H beat up Austin. They were building towards that match, and no mercy, they're finally going to have the match for the title, but it just felt like he wasn't standing on his own 2 feet here as the heel. He always had to have, like chicken shit wise, he had to have somebody help him.
And John, you're dead on, because we're not talking about the Triple H in '99 that later came to be the King of Kings. We're talking about a totally different guy here. And the fact of the matter is, bro, when you look at Triple H at this point in time in '99, Shawn is a bigger star. Rock is a bigger star. Austin is a bigger star. Taker is a bigger star. So there's no question that he needed some help. And obviously, all of this stuff worked to where Triple H went and what he became. But it's like at this point in time, bro, he's not in their league. So we're trying to do everything possible to raise that star. No question about it, bro.
What do you think overall of the episode? Obviously, ratings-wise, it threw the roof and killed it. What do you think overall? Do you like where you're headed?
Yeah, I mean, bro, when you lay these here's how I know. When you lay these episodes out to me, okay, bro, I want to go watch that now. I need to watch that to see this. So if you describing it makes me want to see it, then I did my job, because that was the whole idea. We wanted everybody to watch this.
To me, I feel like Jericho. I know maybe I'm a big Jericho marker, but I feel like he came out looking great, because it's like he beat up Road Dogg, got heel heat. He beat up Shamrock, then he ran away. He made Finkel polish his shoes, but then he wouldn't let Finkel in the car with him and let him pee his pants, and he got out of the building. So I felt like, wow, they have a new star here in Jericho. Pretty right off the bat.
You know what's funny? Here's bro, when you look back at that era, so many guys were so cool. You know what I'm saying, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Jericho
Yeah.
was cool. Rock was cool. Austin was cool. Taker was cool. Hall was cool. Nash was cool. Hogan was cool. You had so many guys that were cool. If I asked you to name 5 cool guys in the wrestling industry today, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. Nobody's cool anymore. And that was Jericho's appeal, bro. He was the freaking coolest guy on the block. That's why I went after him, because I knew how freaking cool he was and I knew how over he would be. But that's a big thing that's missing in today's business, man. Just that cool factor.
So you're going to go back and watch this. You're interested, but obviously this is towards the end of your run.
Yeah, man.
You would be gone. Not that. Yeah, you'd be gone not that long after that. So
yeah, man. Yeah.
So you're like where you're headed, but obviously not.
Yeah.
Not with Vince. You know what I mean? You're not liking his attitude.
No.
Are you okay with SmackDown at this point? Because remember.
Oh, the writing aspect of it.
Yeah.
John, I don't know if I ever told you this part of the story, but John, you know how like subconsciously you want something to end and you're like kind of doing things to make it end? You know what I'm talking about, John?
Yeah.
Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. John, I will never forget this. And I haven't talked about this often, but when we found out about the SmackDown show and Vince never told us, just added it to the pile, I'll never forget, bro. I was so burnt out at that point and just so tired. John, I went into Vince's office and I said to him, look, bro, I know what everybody's making. I know what you're making. I know how much money the Attitude Era is pulling in. I want $1 million a year.
Whoa.
And John, I got to be honest with you. The reason why it was $1 million a year was because at that point, I really believe subconsciously, I wanted him to say no and be gone. Like I really, really believe that. And John, I'll never forget, man. So after that came the nanny comment. And that's when I left. And I'll never forget, John, that last conversation I had with him when I was at that airport in Philadelphia, because he thought I was going to be at the Meadowlands the next day. Bro, you know what's the last thing he said to me? And he still didn't get it. He still didn't grasp the nanny comment. You know what's the last thing he said to me?
What?
Vince, I was going to give you that $1 million. And I said to him, Vince, it was never about the money, man. And he didn't understand that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was really going to give you the $1 million, though.
I bet he was, bro. I don't think he would have said that if he wasn't. But I'll be honest with you, John. Bro, when he said get a nanny to hire your kids, and you understand this, you got kids.
Yep.
He could have gave me $3 million and I would have told him to go kiss my ass. I didn't regret that for a second. I've never looked back from that, bro.
He obviously, as we've seen in the McMahon documentary, the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix, he's quite the character.
Bro, you see it clear as day through Shane. Yeah. I mean, my God, if you don't watch that documentary, if your heart didn't bleed for Shane McMahon, you missed what kind of a guy this really is. Because all you had to do was look at Shane's face, bro. And
my buddy, who's like a casual fan, I mean, back in the day, he was hardcore. I mean, we used to go to the shows. God, we were first row WrestleMania 15, but we would always say, like, I wonder why Shane does all this crazy stuff. So I texted him. I go, once you watch that documentary, remember you always just say that Shane. I was like, you'll see. I was like, and you're going to really like him even more than we already liked him before.
Yep, absolutely, man.
Pretty crazy. All that insane stuff, literally just to get a pat on the back from his dad. I was like, wow, bro, I just thought he was nuts. Like, wow.
And I guarantee you, John, he's still doing the same thing today. I guarantee you. Guarantee you.
What a sweetheart of a guy, though. What a nice guy.
Oh, God, bro. Yeah, man. It's unbelievable. Like, just, bro, the difference between him and Stephanie is just, you wouldn't have thought they were from the same family.
So funny. Did you see that picture of him in the airport with the Young
Yeah,
Bucks?
yeah, yeah.
Obviously, it's that picture of Tony Khan. Then he has a picture of the Young Bucks. Pretty funny. Like
I
he's
swear, I
keeping
would
himself
love,
relevant.
bro. I would be head over heels if somehow, some way, Shane McMahon could buy that company from Tony Khan, man. I would be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, bro, that would make my day.
I would love it.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
would be awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Shane, I mean, obviously he's doing okay financially, but man,
yeah,
that stinks with his dad as a nut. And Vince even said that his dad, he didn't want to do that because his dad did that to him. And then he did the same exact thing that his dad did, and he was just like, yeah, whatever. He's like,
yeah.
sometimes you just get a pat in the back and a hug, like, you know what I mean? Very flippant about it.
Yeah, man, it's. I think of my own dad and our relationship, and I'm like, bro, come on, you're gonna start your son taking ring jackets and working on the ring. Get the frig out of here, man. You know, Stephanie didn't work on no ring crew.
No, nope.
Yeah,
And she even says, she's like, it was a little bit harder on Shane
yeah,
than
you
me. I
think?
would be honest, like a little
Yeah,
bit, a
yeah,
lot. Yeah.
you think? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shane,
All right, bro.
Yep. Let's hit the plugs. You can follow me on Twitter and
I
Instagram.
thought we were done.
Oh,
We're not done yet, John. We're still going. Tell Larry overtime, bro. Hey,
yes.
Larry, 110, Larry,
Yeah. Come on.
overtime, bro.
Yes. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Human Power Trip. Vince, where can everybody find you?
Guys, right now, you never been a Patreon member, go to patreon.com/Russo TWC. Get a free week of Russo's brand. You could try us out for a week, bro. Patreon.com/Russo TWC.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. See you right back here next time for the latest podcast. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.